Thanksgiving ended with me kicking my narcissistic mother out of my house and telling her I no longer wanted to have a relationship with her. So real quick to explain what happened, I hosted Thanksgiving dinner. It was me, my mom, my aunt, and her family, her husband, and my 2 cousins. They come over, they stay roughly till about like 10, close to 10 o'clock, and then they leave. Except as they're leaving, as we're like, hey, take these leftovers, and mom's like, hey, don't forget this, don't forget that. I had also washed 2 of Archie's hoodies, my dog, and I don't like to put them in the dryer, so I was hanging them on a space heater radiator that's like kind of near the doorway, the front door, and I was hanging it there to dry. And as my aunt was walking past them, my mom pointed at it and she's like, oh, do you guys want those for your dog? And my aunt looked at me and she's like, aren't those Archie's? And I was like, yeah. So as I was continuing to clean up after they left, I just said to my mom, I was like, hey mom, what was that? Why did you offer them Archie's? And without hesitation, without even a second to think, she immediately says, I didn't say that.
What?
Yes, that happens a lot.
But it's about the fact that without even hesitation, my mom's response was to manipulate and gaslight me. Because then after I had to explain to her, then that doesn't fit the narrative of how my aunt would ask me, isn't that Archie's if you didn't say that? Like, it only fits if you offered them the hoodie. Like, it only fits in that scenario. And after having to explain that to her twice, she was like, oh, well, maybe I was just confused. And I was like, that's fine. But why didn't you just say that from the beginning? Why was your initial reaction to just lie to your only child? To which her response was, I didn't lie to that. So for the next 40 minutes to an hour, it was me on repeat. I said it over 40 times because I counted. I was like, this is now the 3rd, 4th, 20th, 30th, 40th time that I'm telling you that I need you to address the fact and acknowledge that you lied.
Yo, that is, oh my days.
For anyone watching who's confused by his energy, this has very little to do with this incident and probably everything to do with the long history.
Oh, when you try to say something to your mom that she did back, I never did that. I would never. My mom already said to me, I said to my mom, remember when you used to beat us? I never beat you. I would never do such a thing.
When I found this clip, I'm like, this is definitely for preach.
Now I was met with responses that either were her just being silent, not addressing it for upwards of 8 to 10 minutes at a time, where I'm waiting for her to answer. And I'm pretty sure, because she does this all the time, that she thinks that if she just ignores it and stays silent, I'm just going to give in and pretend it didn't happen. It's just going to disappear. Or her trying to convince me that I'm the most important person in her life and that everything that she has ever done was for me. To which point I always have to remind my mom that no, a mother who puts her child first doesn't not cook a single meal for 3 months or say one single word to their only child for 3 months at the age of 10 or 11 years old because they forged their signature on one of the tests because they didn't want to be beat all day for not getting an A+. Or a mother who lies to their child about their father and how she lost all the wedding photos on the move from Korea to America when they've never been married.
Okay.
Yo.
He airing her out, okay? He letting all that shit out.
He's putting holes through that shit. He's just...
Yeah, no. I personally think some family business should stay personal. Even if y'all beefing, that's a lot.
No, honestly, I don't even know if I meant it, if it was just an empty thread.
Why is the shirt wet? I had a 2-hour-long panic attack and was in a state of stress the whole time. Okay, so you're sweating.
I don't know if I would be able to live with myself if I cut off my mom, who's now 81 years old. If I just cut her off, I would feel like I would have this regret for the rest of my life that like I should have tried harder. And like, I know what therapy says. I know it's not my burden to carry, but I also know myself.
I acknowledge this is one of my trauma responses for having to take responsibility for everything my whole life with my narcissistic mother that I now feel responsible for anything wrong that happens to anyone around me.
It just really sucks because I feel like I'm at this cross point where I either have to stop fighting for that little child in me who just desperately his whole life wanted his mom to just be that protective person that they can go to. Since the age of 2, when my mom broke a solid wooden broom handle, brand new one, on the first swing, spanking my butt, where it broke to the point that I couldn't sit down or lay on my back for 2 weeks.
Broke a broom handle with one swing while she was spanking me. Sir, that is not a spank. She beat your ass.
And Preach, I'm sure you want to address the fact that he cried on camera.
No.
Oh, now you don't want to address it.
I don't have to address it. Yes, I do have issue. I still have an issue.
Okay.
I'm still not. I'm not like, oh, he's crying. I'm still like,
shouldn't cry on camera.
I wouldn't do
I'm just
it.
asking.
I'm
Normally
just
you
like,
always say.
it's still a thing to me. I was like, oh my God.
I
I said it so much that I don't think I need to reiterate that.
Oh, now that you want to say it now. No, you don't want to say it, huh?
What?
Oh,
my God.
I'm used to it.
Yeah, no, the crying on camera is, ugh. Just dry your fucking eyes. Just take a minute, go drink a glass of water, and start that shit back. That throws me the fuck off. You say he says that he's 42 and his mom is like 81. He's waiting for his mom to call back and to be like, hey, you know what? And I'm like, no, boo-boo. You're the parent now. And she's still not going to comprehend what she did wrong or what happened. That way of thinking has been ingrained in her for the past 81 years. That's almost a century. Your mom's ancient. You know what I mean? Remember we did a video and I was like, hey, sometimes you have to forgive your parents for some things that they did when they hurt you. It's something that you have to do. You have to forgive them.
Yeah, I don't think my point then was like you have to forgive your parents. I think my point was more so you have to grieve your childhood. You have to move past that, and then you have to forgive yourself. And then after you've done that, then you can learn to forgive them.
100%.
The problem he still hasn't accepted the death of that childhood that he had. That's why he says that child is still, like, that child's never getting what they asked for.
And you're not that
right?
child
So you
anymore.
have to grieve that childhood you never got to experience. Right? You said at 2, I was an adult. You were never a child. You never got a chance to. You have to grieve that. That's not to say you do to absolve her or whatever. It's nothing to do with that. It's that you can be okay. There's nothing she can do to fix the fact that you never had a childhood. She could be the best mom today. You will never go back in time.
That's a good point. The death of your inner child.
Yeah. When I talk about this discussion, there's no easy way to go about it because everyone is just inheriting generational dysfunction. And so, he's looking at his mom, right? And he says she was an enforcer, she was a punisher. And I'm convinced that if I went through her childhood and how she was raised and the environment that she was, because she was a young woman growing up in Korea, I'm pretty sure they probably experienced some of the after effects of them separating as a country, all the fucked up things that involved. I'm sure there's so many things that she had to learn to survive the same way he had to learn to survive as a young person. Now, is that his burden? It shouldn't be, because at the end of the day, no, he didn't ask to be brought into this world. She brought him into this world. Actually, I don't even know if she even voluntarily brought him. She could have been Greek for all we know, because for our parents' generation, that was a common story, and it wasn't a very common thing. So we don't even know if she voluntarily really wanted to. All we know is that she stayed with him, and we don't even know what the reasons are. But I'm just trying to say there's so many variables, so many realities, especially for us immigrants who came from really weird places. We're talking about war-torn countries. We're talking about places where, we talk today about the dangers. Over there, the dangers were so commonplace, and there were no television sets. There was nobody to warn you. There was no education to put you off of this stuff. You're just experiencing fucked up shit. Is anyone going to look at a soldier who went to Iraq, came back with PTSD or whatever the fuck it is, and think like, yo, I expect you to be functional? And you guys are going to be like, that's an extreme example. I don't know about y'all. My parents escaped war. So I have uncles and aunts that were shot down. They all had to run. So
the reason
I
why
don't
we're
even know if
immigrants.
that's that crazy. There's plenty of people who literally live in Afghanistan their whole lives instead of soldiers who went there. So they had to witness IUDs and all the. Is it IUDs? IUDs. I said IUDs. I'm like, damn, my head's in the wrong. But you get what I'm saying?
IUD is.
Yeah. And like people can say whatever they want. Oh, these people shouldn't have had kids. There's no knowledge of that. You're literally bringing up concepts that didn't exist back then. Everybody got to 18 and started popping out kids. And you'd be like, that's stupid. I agree, but you don't know what you don't know. And then after you grieve, then you can forgive yourself. Because a lot of people actually end up just resenting themselves for not being good enough, for not being the right person, to not being able to assuage the concerns of an immigrant parent who has unreasonable demands of their child, to not be like, there's so many things you got to just forgive yourself for, because a lot of y'all hold on to that resentment and you project it outwardly. So at the end of the day, there's all kinds of work we all have to do. I consider myself the exception where I'm like, damn, my mom, she didn't go to therapy. I don't know what the fuck happened. Shout out to her. We talk about it all the time. Cool. I'm not expecting other parents to be like that. I didn't even expect her to be like that, to be honest with you.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
My mom a G. I'm not going to lie. I don't know what the fuck she did. I was like, you different. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You're still difficult, but like you better for sure. And I didn't expect this.
You know
so
what?
you did this?
You know what
Okay,
happened?
I'll give it to you a G.
You know what happened? You made it. What I noticed is that when your parents not necessarily understand what you're doing, but they understand that, oh, you're going to be all right. They see you differently. You're still my kid, but you're not my kid.
I agree there's a change that happens. I just don't think that the kind of thing I'm discussing is about that. Like, to be able to look at yourself and be like, how did I fuck up? That has nothing to do with you being successful.
100%.
You are at the age you are, and you decided to improve in this. I literally couldn't see this coming. So like I told her, I'm proud of you. Like the fact that you're able to do that at your age lets me know I have a lot of humility to more instill in myself. For a Muslim woman with no education, her background, her parental experience, I'm like, God damn. There's one comment that somebody made in the live chat. They show love by making you stronger. And I think that comes from the idea, I hear this a lot, having parents like this is good for you because it makes you tougher. And as a result, you go out and you become great or whatever it is. I think there's definitely some truth in the idea that adversity to a degree can make you more resilient. But I also think we have a lot of survivorship bias. We look at people who make it out and go on to do good things or be successful, and they come from these backgrounds. You're like, see, it's because they came from that background. Not recognizing the 10 other niggas who ended up in jail, who ended up on the streets, who ended up drug addicted. Like, there's a reason why there are worse outcomes from people who come from incredibly struggling families. And I'm not even talking about poverty. I'm talking about dysfunctional parents. I'm talking about abusive households. All that extra struggle isn't making them have good lives. It's putting them on drugs. It's putting them on the streets to be night walkers. It's putting them in gangs. It's not a good thing. I know we like to think that because I made it. Trust me, you probably got a sibling who's fucked up off drugs. And if I go look at a parent, 2-parent households where they, show a loving relationship, the odds of them having any of those problems are like almost zero. So we have to be careful to not romanticize struggle.
He didn't kick out his mom because she gave the coats of his dogs that was drying. He's kicking his mom out for everything. Yeah. For all the years. It's like, okay, that was the last one. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Is that what we say? Mm-hmm. That was the one. Hot take. I think sometimes it's necessary. I don't know what happened to me. Like I think I spent like 2 years not talking to my parents. When I was having the conversation about that, about like my girl was like, yeah, but what if your parents, like, what if, knock on wood, your parents die in the process of you and you never have time to? And at the time I was like, it'll be that, man. I'm gonna have problems, but I need that. I need that break. That is too much for it not to overflow somewhere else. And then we're looking at people that were in a normal household and a constant loving family. Nah, yeah, that's privilege. That's also good. It's not bad to be brought up in a good household. It's not a bad thing. No, they came up from struggle. That's great. We see that often in hip hop, where if you were not in the street slinging dope or you're not valid. You're discredited. No, I mean, sometimes you're doing good. There's that struggle romance that we do have, and I find it weird sometimes.
I remember when I learned about survivorship bias, it kind of just clicked in my head because when I think about to like my middle school or going into high school and like some of the people I knew and what they were involved in and like the parental experience that they had, I look at them like some of them still in jail, some of them still, and I'm like, well, all that extra struggle that they got, all the days their dad beat them, did that help them develop character? I realized how many ways it stunted my growth to not have like fucking normalcy at all. I'm like, oh, is this what a relationship is? I didn't even know until I'm like 25. Is that normal? Is that a good thing? I hope anyone who's watching just get away from that one talking point, because you might be telling other people that it's a good thing that they had neglectful parents, or that it's a good thing that they had, abusive or whatever. Just be careful, That's all I'm trying to say.
You could just say that it was what it was. Yeah, you live in that, and you were able to take the good out of that and make something better for yourself, but it was not all good.
Mm-hmm. You know what it's like? It's like somebody looking at someone who never wears a seatbelt. Like, look at that person, bro. One of the fucking best drivers. They don't wear a seatbelt. It's like, yeah. A lot of the other people who do wear seatbelts are dead. You want to factor them into the equation at all? No, just the person who made it, and he's the most famous driver, doesn't wear a seatbelt. He's the best.
It's not how statistic works.
Yeah, all right.
It don't work like that. Let's say the one person that made it. All right. Hey, he fucked a bunch of times and didn't have no condom, so I guess, it doesn't work. Statistics don't work like that.
But we do that.
That's not the mathematics. Wait, whatever. We got the point.
I do think it's fascinating that we have all these studies on the fact that like people who come from households that are abusive go on to be that themselves, that people, much higher likelihood, that people who come from these kind of households have all these worse outcomes. But then we also look at it, it's like, fuck, man, builds character, right? And it's like, well, I don't know how much character is going to do me good in jail or in a fucking grave.
Yeah, I cooked all this food and nobody showed up. I cooked all this motherfucking food and nobody showed up.
Yeah, I'm so hurt because I spent so much time in that kitchen cooking. I cooked so much stuff. And regardless of whatever we go through as a family, like, you don't just sit there. At least you be honest and say, I'm not showing up, I'm not coming. You don't set me up for it. I spent a day and a half in that kitchen cooking everything.
Something's fishy. Nobody showed up. Why would nobody show up? Why would people dodge you? You put raisin in your potato salad? Like, I don't have enough information.
What do you mean? Some people are in families where they get just treated like dog, and they keep giving and giving. There's plenty of relationship dynamics like that.
Keep on cooking for everybody that treats you like a dog.
Oh yeah, that's a very normal dynamic. In fact, most people who are like very giving develop this horrible habit where like the more they give, the worse the treatment gets, and they keep coming back. Because like almost them giving isn't even necessarily about the other person. It's the only way that they know how to be useful to others, to have a connection. Some people just indulge in that. It's also your part, which is very true, where just someone like they treat others like garbage and then they get mad when then they try to play victim afterwards when people reject them.
Either way, there is a problem. Either you the problem or the people around you the problem. But there's a problem. There is a problem.